Good evening, everybody.
Hello and welcome.
Happy Thursday.
Yes, happy Thursday.
So, through the miracle of having international celebrities on from Australia and time zone changes that are pesky, we thought we're ahead of the game, and we did a screenshot, right, of the time zone change, but then the thing happened last week. So, one of our guests is ready to go. Our other guest is on their way to her studio. So we're going to front load everything as far as the bios. They're lengthy. And I know sometimes when we're guests and people are reading our bios and they're going on and on, I get a little antsy as the guest. But I'm a pretty good editor, and there's nothing here to edit out.
No, and it's all amazing. I mean,
it's amazing. So Anne and Renata are truly amazing. So we're gonna read the bios. Next week, we want to tell you, this book just came out. It's available on Amazon right now. It is called Convergence, the Interconnectedness of Extraordinary Experiences. It's a brilliant cover, and rightfully so. It's a brilliant book.
It is a brilliant book.
I think it's paradigm changing. It's Barbara Mango, who has a PhD, and Lynn Miller, who's a Master's of Science. We know them both. We're part of a research group with them that we're very honored to be a part of. Let's say a quick hello to some of our audience here. Ronald, hello.
Hi,
Julie,
Ronald.
hello.
Hi, Julie.
So let us roll the intro, and then when we come back, I'm going to read these bios, and then we'll tell you about some upcoming shows and things that we would normally do at the end of the show. You have a new website and a new mentoring program that you're launching. We're on the road this weekend for the first time since December, which is exciting. So roll intro, and then we'll be back with news. There exists a realm beyond our wildest dreams, a realm beyond reality that the gatekeepers and guardians have always told us consists of nothing but tricks of the eye, weather balloons, swamp gas, sand cranes, fairy tale myths of monsters, crackpot conspiracy theories, and desperate cries for attention.
We know this realm exists, and it's just beyond the horizon, the preset path, the well-worn walkways where the cynics want us to stay.
Instead, give this a listen. Put on your headphones, adjust your volume, close your eyes, and fasten your mental seatbelts, because the twilight-tinged turnoff from reality's alluring highway is looming just ahead.
We're about to leave the plane of the easily explained, the couldn't possibly be's, and the no way I just saw what I saw's, for the spaces and places where everything is possible, and if you stay long enough, even probable. We're about to take a journey into the outer realms.
All right, and we're back. Almost turned us off.
I know you almost did that last week, too. You got
No, I did not. It was last week, but I certainly did this week. So let's jump right in with the bios.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about some other stuff while we're waiting. But so Renata Daniel began her interactions with the paranormal as a child, experiencing strange phenomena which were always dismissed as symptoms of being a very sickly child. Her desire to know more would never leave her. She took up reading tarot in her late 20s, becoming a professional reader. She became interested in local ghost hunts as part of a small business she part-owned, and saw an opportunity to start her own ghost tours in her hometown, Newcastle, Australia. It's called Newcastle Ghost Tours, and has been operating for 11 years, winning local small business and tourism awards. That's awesome for a ghost tour.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, her collaboration with Anne Rzechowicz has led to the creation of a large online community called Frightfully Good, where they can both bring their unique characters to the paranormal arena and show the strength of women in the ghost hunting field. I'm already loving all this. Win an award, Strength of Women in the Field. Renata continues the ghost tours, teaching at the Australian School of Ghost Hunting and is a podcaster at True Hauntings Podcast and is a workshop provider in psychic development and tarot. Renata is a trained personal counselor, spiritual guidance coach, meditation instructor, hypnotherapist, Reiki master, photographer, blogger, and writer, having published a book of local ghost stories in 2006. She reminds me of you. She also assists in personal cases of hauntings. Anne Rzechowicz has been a paranormal investigator for 11 years, but an enthusiast all her life. She owns Australia's largest online paranormal equipment store, Oz Paratech, and also established with Renata the Australian School of Ghost Hunting, workshops, and conferences. Also Frightfully Good, as we mentioned, a paranormal spiritual community, running weekly podcasts and various spooky topics, and spooky weekends away. Nice. Spirit Talk Australia, which we've been on last September. Star, interviews with the most influential mentors, teachers, visionaries in the pagan and paranormal community. Well, that's an honor. The Seance Parlor, and together they produce the True Hauntings podcast, True Hauntings companion series on YouTube, and Ghost Hunters React. That's a brand new YouTube. We were watching it this morning. It's very funny. They'll talk about that tonight. The multi-award-winning TV show, The Space Between, to be released later this year. And Anne is a student of the occult, having completed her diploma in ancient magic, a diploma of druidism, and a diploma of scrying through the Center of Excellence. She is currently studying Wicca, Hoodoo, Kitchen Witchery, and Shadow Work. Her studies in the paranormal include courses with the Rhine Institute and the School of Parapsychology, to name a few. Together with Renata, she's traveled the world seeking paranormal experiences at some of the most notorious haunted locations, including Brancaster, Romania, the Blackfire Poltergeist in Pontefract, England, Ancient Ram Inn, England, Leap Castle, Ireland, Loftus Hall, Ireland, Birdcage Theatre, USA, nice, Stanley Hotel, USA, and many, many more. Stanley Hotel, that's where they filmed The Shining. Her favorite thing to study is the Victorian Age of spiritualism. Yes. And particularly loves the art of the seance, being an adept table tipper tilter. Next month, we're having a more international guest. We're having the Jane Foys, Stuart and Dean, who also table tippers, experts in seances and all things mediumship. So very cool there. Her favorite thing to study is the Victorian Age of spiritualism, like I said. Anne hopes to bring less fear and more knowledge to those interested in the paranormal, spiritual, occult field, as many popular TV shows have created an unrealistic view of what the paranormal actually is. Right here. That's how I feel about that. She's also an actor and well known for her work on Deadly Women. So there you go. Okay. While we're waiting for Renata, but there we go. That's a lot to look forward to. Right. Jessica is saying, wow, and rightfully so. These ladies are dynamite. We got to hang out with them on their show in September, Spirit Talk Australia, and also see them on Three Beards podcasts a couple weeks ago. So you want to check that out. That's on my page. You can go ahead and do that, or it's on the Into the Outer Realms page. So why don't you talk about your new website and your mentoring programs and all that good stuff?
Sure. So my website has launched, and it's just tanyamedia.com.
Nice.
And on there, you can find all of the services that I offer, including my new spiritual life coaching program. And I say new, but it's really more that I've really focused more on this recently and pulled together a lot more elements of what I do. So I have been doing spiritual life coaching for quite some time now, but I'm really focusing more on that element of what I do. So that is on there. Also, there will be links. They're not on there yet, but they will be soon. Links for, of course, Into the Outer Realms and the new show that I will be launching on Sunday called The Intuitive Life. And that is not a live broadcast. It's a pre-recorded show on my YouTube channel, which you can find. Just put my name in YouTube. And every week I'll have a new episode. I'll have someone on, and we'll be talking more about how intuition, the natural intuition that we all have, influences our lives. Many of the people I will have on are obviously people that I met through my intuition. So we'll talk about how intuition leads you to important people in your life. And then, of course, we'll be talking about things like Reiki, meditation, yoga, mediumship, dream work, all kinds of different things. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
And so that's what I have.
Hello, Dan Hawkins.
Hi,
Good
Dan.
to have you
Nice to
joining us
see you.
tonight. Dan does a fabulous thing on Facebook where leading up to every holiday, he does great stuff. He posts great clips from TV and film, other different great references. You will also see him in costume. So please friend our friend Dan Hawkins. He brings a lot of joy during the lockdown and the stay at home. Hello to Candace. Thank you for joining us again. Good evening,
Hi,
Candace. So this weekend we're on the road for the first time since December, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Craig Ansell.
Hey, Craig.
So Craig and the other two beards, Chris and Austin, had these fine ladies on. I call them the Australian Ab Fab. You'll see, they are not only knowledgeable, but they have a wonderful sense of humor, which, as we believe, is key to doing this work in a healthy, positive way. And it's showing. They're incredibly popular. They got some really big things going on, and we're going to hear about them all tonight. Craig was a little under the weather. Craig is a member of the Red Thread Collective, which is one of the research groups that we belong to. We're now belong to two, which is very cool. But we will be doing on April 1st, we will be looking at very interesting subjects. The team has been working on this for 2 months independently. Everybody's been doing research on cool things in Nevada and New Mexico. Everything from Dulce Base to Area 51 to Los Alamos to underground bases to McCarran Airport, which is changing its name to Harry Reid Airport, but the mysterious Janet flights in and out, that's going to be amazing. We're actually traveling to West Virginia to work with a few members of the team, Devin and Emily, safely distanced and all that good stuff, masked this weekend. And you and I are also buttoning up a case.
Yes.
It's an interesting case where a man had an estate sale. He got the furniture and all, and there's an old lady attached to, I shouldn't say that, an older woman attached to a piece of the furniture, and she is hot to find these letters. So she's tapping and knocking to get his attention, to bring him up. So hello to our good friend, Lori. Lori's your first guest on your new show.
Lori's yes, and I'm so glad she popped on when she did, because not only is she the first guest on my new show, which I'm super excited about that episode, Lori will also be checking in remotely for us tomorrow. I forgot to mention that to you. She's going to give us a little assist and just kind of do a remote view while we're at that location.
Oh, on the case. That's awesome.
And check in and see what she gets. And she wasn't supposed to know anything about the case, but I didn't tell you, so that's my fault.
Well, that's on. I mean, that's on
that's
you.
my fault.
Look who's joining us, superstar Jolie Medea.
Jolie Medea, hello.
Also, topical, Jolie's interview with us from way back in November, one of our most popular shows ever, because she is smart and funny. Wonderful, 21 years old, for those of our audience that don't know, and a very gifted psychic medium. That's going to play on Patriot Radio tomorrow night. That's our third radio station that's picked us up. So if you haven't heard that, you can hear it, but there's nothing like seeing her, and you can see her on our
Facebook page.
On our Facebook page. Speaking of radio stations that have picked us up, on Tuesday nights, 2 a.m. overnight, so into Tuesday morning, Eastern Standard Time, we are on KGRA, and then ERRT does Into the Outer Realms Revisited. Those shows are about a month to 5 weeks old now, audio only, on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Oh, Miss Jolie is very surprised that, yeah, so that's going to be making the rounds. Okay, so Lori didn't actually hear anything about the case.
Perfect.
So that's great. We should talk about that a little. And I think Ann's telling us that Renata will be here in about 10 minutes. Yeah, great. Okay, so this idea of remote viewing, of looking into a space, you've been doing that so much in the past year, which I find absolutely fascinating. And maybe we can talk to Ann and Renata about that as well. Looking at a photograph. Like sometimes someone will send you a photograph, tell you nothing, and say, what are your impressions? They're very spot on. You can even see a ghost in a window of a photograph when the ghost isn't in the window. So we're doing a lot of studying for a grant that we're applying for, revisiting the work of the great remote viewers, Ingo Swann, Pat Price, Joe McGonigal, Russell Targ, who co-ran the program at Stanford Research Institute with Hal Puthoff. So having Lori to come in with those insights, you and Lori worked together about 6 weeks ago to help a woman who had the ultimate follow home, had hugged a man in hospice as he died, and then he got very, very attached to her. So they worked together on that. So all of this stuff is super, super exciting, I think. Let's talk about some upcoming guests.
Yeah.
Because they are terrific. So let me see what's going on. Next week, like we said, Barbara Mango and Lynn Miller with their new book, Convergence. This is about out-of-body experiences, UFO or UAP encounters, near-death experiences, past lives, and talking to scientists. Quoting, what I love about this book is they spend a lot of time quoting the cynics and really making them look foolish. You know, I'm reading Russell Targ's Limitless Mind right now, and he calls out NICAP, I think they're called, or whatever. But they're professional cynics. They, the great Randy, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's
had offered $1 million for proof, and Russell Targ said there's no way he ever would have admitted to any proof or paid out that $1 million.
Of course.
So in reading books on parapsychology, you're constantly running into this NICOP thing. These people are like Philip Klass was in the 70s, basically on the payroll of the gatekeepers to shut down this work.
Right. I was going to say professional debunkers.
Yeah. Yep.
But
okay. So Renata's stuck in traffic. So we are going to bring Ann on and we'll get started and we'll catch Renata up. So let's do that now. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi there. Or should I say g'day?
Yeah.
That would be great. Our audience is probably going nuts. They love that. One of the most popular accents in the world, I think.
Yes.
So
it feels very weird being here without Renata. I've sort of got this empty chair next to me. It's like
yeah, so we stalled for a while, which was okay. I felt like we were on talk radio talking about all these different subjects, and
you were doing brilliantly.
Oh, thank you. Well,
So,
and I have to say, I'm sure she's there in spirit.
Hopefully not, because that means she's had a car accident, and I don't like that idea.
Well, I mean,
you're really batting.
I know I'm batting 1,000.
You're batting 1,000 tonight, baby.
I meant, you know, her
I know what you
intention is there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's driving in a driving attack, so let's hope her intention is. So let's get started like we always do.
Yeah. So
and ease in.
Yes, we will ease in. We always like to start by talking about how we met our guest. And of course, Tony Rotonda was so gracious to bring us together and recommend that we reach out to you guys. And of course, we were on your show last September, which was so much fun. So that's how we met. And we're so glad we did.
Yeah, Tony's been wonderful. She's connected us with so many like-minded people, and she's been so generous with her contacts. We're a little bit sort of in awe of the people we're getting to meet, people like yourselves.
Yeah, we feel the same way. Tony just put us in contact with a podcaster named Tim, who's working on his schedule. We're going to be in his show. And we're seeing this. We have 3 or 4, I guess, networks going. Right? So Craig Ansel, who you were on his show.
Hi, Craig.
We sent you Craig's way for 3 beards.
You did.
Is Spencer the skeleton behind you?
Oh, yeah. This is Spencer.
Nice.
Hi, Spencer.
He's appearing in our YouTube series and makes an appearance every Thursday night, sometimes Monday nights as well.
Nice.
Sometimes he falls off. Sometimes he has items that are wedged through his rib cages. Yeah.
Thanks. We'll have to get them together with, if I can get out of the way here. Back in the shadows there is our Eleonora, named by one of our listeners. Yeah, she sometimes falls down on the job. Sometimes you got to blow her up. So What was your first encounter with the paranormal, Anne?
Look, I actually do believe I had experiences when I was as little as 2 or 3 at my grandparents' place. They lived in a suburb called Stockton, and it's on a little bit of a peninsula. It has beaches sort of surrounding it. You used to get to it via a car ferry, so you drive onto the ferry and they take you across. And I think it was Aboriginal sacred land. The area was certainly inhabited by our Indigenous people. And at night, I used to feel something that would be bouncing around underneath my bed, and the bed would be moving, and I'd be screaming, saying there's something in the room. And then I remember one night seeing this black shadow shoot out through a window, and my parents used to call it the hooker-naughty. I don't know where that name came from. But yeah, I believe that was my first experience. I could see it, they didn't experience it. Was it the imagination of a toddler? I don't know, but it was very real for me.
Yeah, the black shadow really pushes it. And also, too, my brother and I slept in bunk beds, and I was oldest, so I slept on top. And when he was angry with me, he would lay on his back and put his legs, and he would lift the mattress. And that's what that reminds me of. One night he got overzealous and knocked my mattress out of square, and the mattress and me landed on him. And I'm laughing hysterically, and my brother's going, "Get the mattress off me!" And I'm just dying laughing. So I don't think any permanent harm done. But that sounds like between those two. And then did it kind of stop and pick up again when you became an investigator, or?
I wasn't able to access that house after I turned 7, because my grandfather passed and our grandmother moved in with us. So I wasn't in that mindset, obviously, at the age of 7. Yeah. But as a paranormal investigator, I think what put me onto that path was actually watching the ghost hunting TV shows. And I was always jealous of mediums and psychics who could say, "Oh, I'm picking up on someone, they're over there, they're waving to me, they're wearing a black hat," and I'd be looking at it going, "Well, I can't see any of that, so I don't know whether you're just giving me furfies or whether that is really somebody there." So when I saw the ghost hunting TV shows and they were using equipment to, well, at the time I thought it was sense ghosts, I've now learnt otherwise, that I felt was something that I could engage in. So that's when I started to look into paranormal technology, and I think my first item I got was a K2.
Yeah.
As
oh,
you
yeah.
know, everybody starts off there.
Yeah.
And then I found there was, I did a local ghost tour, and I found there was a paranormal team in my hometown, which really surprised me. I didn't think there'd be that sort of thing in my hometown 11 years ago. So I introduced myself to them and got to know them and formed a team with them. And then you go through a few birthing stages, shall I say, where you outgrow certain teams that you're with, where they're happy with the knowledge they have. They're happy to believe that a K2 is telling you there is a ghost present, where I kept wanting to know more. Just kept wanting to know more. Oh, I think my doorbell just went off, which is called the dogs. So that's sort of how I got into paranormal investigation.
Okay. I had a quick question while we're waiting for Renata. Tony's asking, she's mentioning your T-shirt, and I'm looking. What are all those symbols there?
Oh, well, look what I've got here. Hang on. Oh, God, I'm going to tangle myself. Hang on. It is...
Oh, very cool. She loves
hang on.
Awesome.
Everyone say hello to Renata.
Hi, Renata.
Hi
Don't
there.
pull too hard on that.
That's what they all say.
So this is actually a shirt that we bought. Now, where did it come from? Don't pull too hard or we'll lose everything.
Hello.
Hello
Renata.
there. Nice to see you.
Now, did we buy
nice
this
to see
from
me too.
the Witchcraft Museum or from Tony?
We got this from Tony
Right.
Yeah.
Honda.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tony's been on the show,
Oh, thank you,
and the curator, Stephen, is going to be on the show in a couple months. But Renata, I'm glad you made it safe. You're rocking a tremendous braid. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yeah, very neat. So we just finished with Anne about her first encounter with the paranormal and then sort of her journey up until now, going from experiencer to researcher. Can you share with us that same thing? What was your first experience and how did you get to where you are now?
Look, I always knew from as early as I could understand what was happening, I guess, that things were going to be quite different for me, because I was just one of those kooky, crazy kids that seemed to have the brain of a 30-year-old stuck in the body of a 5-year-old, if you know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And so things were always going to be a little bit weird and strange. And as you can guess, I didn't make friends really easily because I would be talking about quite different topics than everybody else in the schoolyard. So I sort of seemed to have experiences very, very early on. As a child, still in a crib, I guess I can remember seeing and feeling weird things and trying to stop being scared. I was petrified as a child, and I had to have the hall light on and, you know, my mum and dad close by because I'd spend half the night screaming because I was seeing things and all of that sort of stuff. And so that was kind of the beginning. I went to school traumatized. I didn't like people very much. I didn't like the energy of other kids very much. Couldn't stand and work what all of that was all about, and my place in all of that. Only when I really started to get my hands on books and started to learn and try and piece all of these bits and pieces together. My parents were very strict Catholic, so I guess the idea was throw her into church, make her pray, everything will be all right. Yeah, God will be the light, all of this sort of stuff. Didn't work. Let's just say didn't work. But I kind of spent the first 20 years of my life exploring why did I drop here and what was I supposed to be doing, and everything around me is totally insane. I don't understand it. So it was only by the sort of, I guess, making all the mistakes you do in those years and trying to get yourself into relationships to try and understand relationships and you know, work things out and make mistakes there. I had a couple of kids, and really it was only when I got to a point where I said, no, I'm really digging into this and following this. And the first thing I did was actually start with tarot, and I picked up a deck of tarot cards. And it was the one thing to me that made absolute sense. I really felt as though I had some affinity, some connection with the cards, which wasn't in this lifetime, I guess. I kind of said I seemed to know them really well. And that's really when I started on the psychic journey, on that psychic part of me. But there was always going to be more. And as time progressed, I went into groups where we talked about all of these things. I went into a collaboration with a friend, and we sort of started a small metaphysical shop. And that's sort of when I got started into the ghost tours, because we were really finding more ways of making money, as you do, because that stuff doesn't pay you much. And so we started with the ghost tours, and it was just an absolute hit. And sort of that's kind of been the ongoing story for the last 13, 14 years. The tours, the paranormal investigations. I met this crazy one here. I tried to get a hook on into her many years before we started, but
No, I'd been told she was the bitch from hell and to keep away from herself. I stayed clear of her. But then I sort of learned to start to meet people and get to know them rather than trust other people's opinions of them, because they're speaking through their bias. So once I got to know her, I realised how evil she actually was. And it's a total soulmate.
Renata, what drew your attention to, out of all the investigators and all around, what drew your attention to Anne?
Yeah, come on, I want to hear this. Stroke the ego, or the fluff my aura. Come on.
We actually officially met, I would say, or had that first interaction. I was going to Sydney to take part in a workshop there with a gentleman from the Australian Parapsychological Association, and it was about what was it about?
Portals, I think it was.
No,
I can't remember. It was something I went, ooh.
Something or other. And I actually had a free ticket. Someone who's supposed to come with me and said, no, I can't go. So I thought, oh God, who am I going to ask? And I'd had my eye on this one for a little while.
Not at all creepy.
Watching videos and things that they were putting up and whatever. And I thought, I'll ask Anne. Would she come? And she came with me, and we had a deep and meaningful conversation in the car going there and going back, because it's
Is that the time you bought the egg sandwiches and you made egg sandwiches in our lap and put it? I'm driving. She's putting a little tea towel in my lap and giving me. Oh, who is this person?
Nice.
Hey, I'm Polish. That's what you do. You don't go anywhere without food, right?
They were really good too. They were really good.
It kind of started from there because I realised she had the same type of humorous view on life as I did, and it just, I think, took both of us being in the same space to realise it was okay to be funny about things, and that sarcasm is actually a superpower and not evil and disastrous and horrible, because we're not actually making fun of anybody else except ourselves, really, in the whole scheme of things. So,
unless you're a troll. If you're a troll, yes, we will make fun of you.
Yes,
yeah, right. We learned that on 3 Beers. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of been a good mix. We tend to fluff each other's auras when we need it.
I think it's also that we've all had trauma and trials in our life, and we help each other heal from various things that have happened. Like, both of us have been through trials of fire with past business relationships, and we always promised each other we would never go into business with each other, but we enjoyed each other's company. And the more we seem to resist the idea of going into business, the more the universe threw us together, and we started to find that we were a bit of a yin and a yang for each other's weaknesses, and as a blockage would arise, the other person would smack it out of you. Is the best way of putting it. Yeah. And I think we've become so much stronger than what we were.
Absolutely. I don't think that I would have been or done half the things that I'm doing right now if it wasn't for Anne being there and going, now come on, we can do this. I'd probably still be in my little safe space, doing my little tours and going, oh, this is about all I can do. And so, when you've got a good match that says, no, we can do more than this, and we can strive harder, and we can go for world domination, then it's great having a partner that kind of goes, yeah, look, let's not worry about the crappy bits. Let's enjoy the good bits.
Mm-hmm.
I think we know what that is like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, I think once you get on your path, and you were talking about how, you were attracted to the tarot, and, you were doing the ghost tours and everything. So you're getting on your path. And I think once you get on your path, the universe does attract you to, or attract people to you who are meant to help you even go further along the path. And I can't imagine now, having met you guys together, you are so complementary. You just go together so well.
Yeah. Since we've been working together, the synchronicities and sliding door moments that have happened have been astounding. To the point that we got signed by managers last year, and that was never on horizons whatsoever. And then they've sort of laid out a plan for us saying, we believe you girls have something special. This is what we think you can achieve. We were just gone, we're two old ladies. If you looked at us, we don't exactly have the face for all of this. They're going, no, your chemistry is something that's really special. And so we just went, okay, it's been put in our laps.
Yeah.
Let's just run with it.
Yeah.
And so we're still running. It's still happening, and unfortunately, the news has not yet come through. But apparently, there's a phone call 4:30 our time today, where things might be happening. So yeah,
Pray for us.
yeah,
We
whatever
will.
you
Please,
do,
everyone.
light a candle.
We will
we
light
need
a
it.
candle. Mhm.
Right, because as we go, you're going to hear what they're already working on. So I can't even imagine.
Mhm.
Well, I can very clearly imagine for you what it is. So the synergy between you, sarcasm as a superpower. How? Because we have strong feelings about it, and the audience gets to hear that all the time. So from you, humor is essential to this work. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So can you talk about that from your perspective?
Look, even if you go down to bioenergetics, and let's all get to that point, where you are creating a field of energy around you that can either attract or repel. There are places where you can actually literally lift your vibration up so that you become more within the space, and the space becomes you. And so part of the learning that I have done over so many years with the whole psychic side of stuff and teaching others is to be able to extend yourself beyond the mortal body that you are in, so that you can connect with more, because our world is about emotion, and our world is about feeling, our world is about hearing, our world is about seeing and touching. It's not just what comes out of our mouth and what we believe our eyes are seeing. We have to go deeper than that. So it's always this constant growth with regard to what is actually beyond what I think I'm seeing, and also being able to allow yourself to go, yeah, there is more. What it is, I'm not sure. How it works, not sure, but I'm here to test as much as I can the theories that are around and any new theories that come in, and I'm going to stretch myself. And I kind of always say that the unseen world is really very parallel to the real world. You have to push yourself in the real world, you have to try and understand the real world, and therefore that is going to help you in the unseen world. And so I kind of say, look, if you can get this world semi-right, you're pretty okay with the other stuff. Actually, probably the other stuff is a lot less harmful than the stuff we're getting through here.
I have no idea what she just said. I just like being an idiot.
But yeah, it's all about calming yourself and calming other people too. Yeah, if you can make a joke or a light joke, energy seems to diffuse. And we have brought a lot of people, from a state of panic or I'm not sure what to expect or fear, into a state of, oh yeah, this is cool. I feel okay with these guys. I feel safe. And once they get to that safe zone, everything starts to happen.
Yeah, look, and with me, with humour, part of another sliding door moment is that my husband's business was suffering because of the mining slump, and I had to go and work, and I ended up working as essentially like a clown doctor, but in aged care, playing ukulele, telling jokes, physical humour. And it was something that was always inside me, which I had repressed, but this gave me permission to let my inner child run amok. And it did. It went berserk. It had been closed up for far too long. And now I've let that out of the box, and I can see the difference that humour can make in someone's life. I use it at every opportunity. And sadly, the paranormal field, there is a lot of darkness, there is a lot of negative energies, demonic energies. People have been watching one style of information, and that's where they're drawing their knowledge from. And they don't realise that that's just television, that's just entertainment, because that's what people are craving. They want to hear it's a demon. Whereas we're finding that it's people who are just trying to get a message across to someone, and we try to do it with a humorous lean to it, I suppose. I'm trying to be a very good girl and not swear today.
Yeah, it's the of being on so many different radio stations. They're all covered by different rules, and it's the I've
already dropped one, which I apologise for.
Oh, it was a minor one. I'm sure we're
oops.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find. I'm sure we'll be okay. So we were on Coast to Coast AM Friday night and got a caller. And being on shows where there are callers is always a little nerve-wracking. I don't necessarily like that, but we believe that the dark stuff is maybe 10-15% of it. But this guy's calling and going, oh no, 85% of this is demons. My grandmother's boyfriend was a Tengu from Japan. And so there's so much of that perception and the inability to go. Like I think it was partially listening to you guys on Three Beards, not going, okay, what the entertainment people are doing is wrong per se, but people have to remember that's entertainment. And I think if they could just remember that and what we're doing is different, what's your thoughts on that?
Look, people have always been after a thrill. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been public hangings and the pillory. And, if let's go back a little bit further when they were torturing people or burning people at the stake or
even us
crucifying people.
We love
whatever.
trolls. We attack trolls, and that's my thrill. I love it. So it's a part of our human nature.
Yeah, they love the dark stuff because it is part of all of us. And normally everybody represses it to be really goody-goody, but they love to see it in somebody else. That's why all the reality TV shows are just... The worse they are, the more people like them because they can sit there and go, oh my God, how can anyone do that? When deep down inside, that's what they want to do, really. Right. So they love watching the scary stuff. I mean, there are a lot of people online that come on and say, I need to watch the worst horror movie that there possibly is to release, let go, and calm my nerves. And you go, what?
Right.
Really? Can't you play some meditation music and go outside and stand on the grass or something? Do you really have to watch someone being beheaded or shot 25,000 times? Apparently so. So this is always going to be a genre that people are going to want to get a thrill out of. And I guess we have to realise that there are two sides to this, like there are two sides to everything else. What do you reckon?
Yes.
Well said.
Well, I wanted to touch real quick on, and then we're going to get into all the amazing projects that you ladies have coming up and that you're working on, because it's just incredible all the things you're doing. But you talked, Anne, about how you use humor when you're talking to the spirit people. And what I found also is they really appreciate that humor. Not only that, many of them have a great sense of humor themselves. So it's so fun when, you're approaching it with a sense of humor and they're coming right back at you with their own sarcasm and their own sense of humor. So I just love that that's your approach.
Yeah, we find that particularly at Maitland Jail, we have a good repartee with the boys that in jail, and we will banter with them through the spirit box, and they can be wickedly funny themselves.
Yeah, when we first started using the spirit box, a mentor said, ask them what they're seeing. Ask them what they're seeing. Just say, can you tell us what you're seeing? So one night we have a group of about 25 people. We're in the library that we investigated as an open rolling event for 2 years. And I go, okay, I'm a paranormal investigator now, right? I'm getting paid. I'm a professional. It's early on. And I go, we get a communication. And I'm like, oh, someone's here. What are you seeing? And we hear, what are you seeing? So, and that, I think for us, people are the most surprised by that. They say, well, what did you learn in that 150 hours, that 2 years in the library? And we said that they retain their personality, but it's also elastic. So you may have someone who's in a jolly great mood, and one night they're just in a bad mood. Something happened on the other side, or they're dealing with some level, and that was really big for us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think their sense of humor or their personality or those sorts of little things is another way of validating the person you are speaking to, if they were well known for that sort of personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to tell you this quick story because it's right in line with that. We were at an event a couple of years ago, and we were going to be speaking. It wasn't our turn yet, so I was just kind of, standing by the door, watching the other speakers, watching the people, and in walks the spirit of a man, but he's dressed as an Elvis impersonator, and I'm just like, what? Like, okay. And I just watch him, like, for the next, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, he's just kind of walking around the room in his Elvis, getup. And that in and of itself was hysterical. But later on, after we had given our presentation, this woman came up to me and she said, hey, I just want to know, do you see anyone around me? And here comes the Elvis impersonator right behind her. And I said, okay, this is even weirder now. So I said, yeah. Actually, there's an Elvis impersonator behind you. And he was, I forget what he was doing, but he was making some gestures or whatever. She goes, oh my God, that's my dad. She said that is so his sense of humor. He loved Elvis, and that was so his sense of humor that he would show up like that. So, I mean, it's just so much fun to work with them.
I think they also know that you are open to that, because I find that often if I get pieces of information that I'm supposed to tell someone with regard to a family member who has passed over, they'll give me a piece of information that they may not normally give somebody else.
It's normally very mundane as well. It's just something they would know and nobody else.
Yeah, but sometimes it's quite funny, and you go, oh, okay. The last one that I had, that I was talking to someone, I had to say to them, this particular person who was coming through said, tell them that person has a hairy butthole.
Oh!
And you go,
beep.
All good.
Okay, right. This may not mean much to you, but I have to tell you this. And they just cracked up hysterically going, yes, they do. Yes. And so it meant something completely to them that validated this connection. And it's like we're empowering them to be funny as well. That they don't always have to be serious and always have to tell us, what the other side is all about and what's the meaning of life. They just still want to have some fun as well.
And we'd in the sales parlour, we used to do that as well. It's people were coming with such trauma and grief in their heart to try and make contact with their loved ones. And we would always encourage the communication to come through as funny, and they would tell us really funny things like that. Your grandmother says you're eating snails in the garden, and that would break the ice, and they'd start to laugh, and then there would be happy tears.
Yeah.
We'd get all these happy tears would start to flow as healing started to take place.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because it's so true. People come and they think that oftentimes I find they think that their loved ones want them to be so sad, and am I grieving enough? Am I spending enough time in grief? And it's like, no, they don't want you to be sad. They don't want you to spend any more time in grief. They want you to move on and be happy.
That is so true, Tonya. That is absolutely so true. Yeah. It's our guilt, and our guilt that holds us in many a dark place, when in many times that's the guilt needs to be done and dusted and gone, and you need to move on. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had, and we've never talked about this before, but it was a very close friend of mine that I went to college with had a weight issue and a heart problem. He died when we were 36, and he was an avid pipe smoker. And so a mutual friend of ours, who's a very, very serious guy, Ishmael says, I want to gift you like a dozen of Mark's pipes but pipe smoking is a very serious business, and I have to come out for a weekend and I have to teach you about it. But I'm going to mail you these books that you have to read, and you have to do all this stuff. So I said, wow, well, I could see myself smoking a pipe. It's very kind of like romantic and all, but wow, this is stressful. This is stressful. So he comes to the house. He says, it'd be good if Tanya and the kids were not there. So they went away, and it's a whole weekend of training me on the pipes, which I love that he did it. I have a beautiful collection. I'm quite good at it. I've taught several other people. Anyway, the point is, Tanya has a dream of my friend Mark. Now, Mark was a large dude, but a couple nights later, she has a dream of Mark in his tighty whities.
No.
Flinging the pipes, wasn't it?
No.
He was in his underwear.
No. In the dream, Mark comes to me and we got to go to the mall and buy underwear.
Okay,
Buy tidy whities and light bulbs. Underwear and light bulbs. And it's like this huge mission, and he's all serious about it. But when I woke up, I realized he had an off sense of humor like that. It's exactly, and it was his way of saying, I think the underwear meant like under here, or, you know, on the other side. That was kind of his off sense of humor for that. And the light bulbs were,
But a way to break that tension of the connection with the pipes. I think he was still connected with the pipes, and well, I remember it of him dancing around his underwear. That's my memory. And I love it. Well, let's talk about the projects.
Yeah, let's talk about the projects.
Go ahead.
So besides Spirit Talk Australia, you have lots of other stuff. You have the Paranormal Investigation Supply Company, and lots of other things. So tell us all about what you have going on.
Oh, where do we start? Okay, so I have Oz Paratech. That's my business and company that I sell paranormal equipment through. Actually started because of my husband at a paranormal convention. Got talking to Sean from Ghost Stop, and organised a distributorship with him. And then I approached some of the other places as well. And lo and behold, there's Oz Paratech, still going strong after 4.5 years now. And then we have, well, the things we've started now, our collaborations with Isaac Butterfield, who is an Australian comedian, and he was the one that got us in front of his management company, who then picked us up. So we're filming, what's his series called?
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate. So we take him out and some friends, and we investigate places, and he has 1.6 million followers on YouTube, so that's given us a huge amount of exposure, except he likes to call us the ghost grannies, which she doesn't like.
I wouldn't like that either, Renata.
We're coming up now because a TV show called Studio 10 called us Queens of the Paranormal, so we're going to run with that.
I like that better.
Yeah,
See,
I
there
like
you
that.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we've been doing that. His videos get like 30,000, 40,000, 100,000 views. So that's been enormous exposure.
Views. Yeah.
Enormous exposure for us. So we've done that. Then True Hauntings podcast.
So proud of that.
Which is just amazing.
Yeah, we are learning so much.
Yeah, and it's changing the way we view things as well.
Yeah.
So wonderful.
That was the management company's idea to start doing that. And we were sort of like, but how? They said, just do something. Just do something. I went, okay. So we sort of threw it together and went, oh, I like this. So our sense of humour comes through there as well. But we're looking at places that are well known and sometimes not well known, haunted locations, and discussing it through the eyes of paranormal investigators, the evidence that's been presented, the stories that are being told, and working out whether we think it is a true haunting or whether there is something else going on, which we've found a bit of a recurring theme which people are going to hate us over, but you know, that's what it is. We've just finished doing Annabelle.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I really put my foot in it in one part, which you have to listen to.
It's around about 20 minutes onwards. She starts to talk about the Annabelle doll and is creeping up this guy's chest, and she just puts a couple of words together that's quite inappropriate. She didn't do it on purpose. It just the way it came out, and then we've just both lost it. We've both got the giggles, and we can't talk. And then she tries to regain her composure, speaks again, and makes it even worse.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen.
So where can people
have.
where can people find the True Hauntings podcast?
It's on iTunes and Spotify.
And most podcast places have got it.
Yeah. And so now we have done a YouTube edition of True Hauntings, which is spectacular. Not because, because
we're purdy.
Because of us, but because the team has put it together so well. We just are amazed at how it comes out. So it's like a mini version of the podcast. It's like a teaser. And we choose the best bits of...
Yeah, and we know that some people can't sit for an hour and listen to a podcast. Attention spans, and I'm one of them sometimes, although I'm getting better. And just to watch 8 to 12 minutes of sort of like our favourite bits from the True Hauntings with visuals, it's just sometimes enough to tease people across into the full hour.
Now, is that on the same YouTube channel as the new Ghost Hunters Reactor too?
Yes.
Yes.
So our YouTube page is Anne and Renata, and you'll find lots of things on there. We've got, because we've been doing our vodcast for 3 or 4 years now, you'll find many on there which are like, oh my God, did we do that? Yeah, we used to do dress-ups and all sorts of things. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Well, I want to see those.
So we treated ourselves in bed yesterday morning to an episode of Ghost Hunters React. You were looking at the Chucky doll and some other stuff. So how did that come about, and what's the charm of that for you? That particular one.
I guess it allows people to get a taste of our sense of humour and what we really think about things. So again, this was an idea that was thrown at us by the team, and they said, we want you to do this Ghost Hunters React thing, and we've gone, oh really, it's not our deal, we don't do, no, come on, give it a crack, give it a go, see how it goes. And so we did a few episodes, and
we actually had no idea really what was going on.
No,
they just
what
sort
we were
of said,
supposed to do,
we've got
whatever.
clips, we're going to play them, and then you have to talk about them. The problem is, in a lot of these paranormal shows and horror shows, and you're probably the same, is I'm yelling at them quite often because they're so stupid, and I'm going, no, that's not the way it is. And I think they're just picking up on that part of who we are, and I was fairly quiet on the first one, and then I start to let loose. There's some very interesting Japanese ones that are going to come up. So they don't tell us what they are. So we have no idea until you see us watching it for the first time.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
that's neat. Yeah, it was spontaneous and fun, and we enjoyed it. And that was really cool. So I think we covered that one. So you want to jump to that one?
Yeah.
Even though my name's in front of it, go ahead.
I mean, one thing I noticed when Joey was reading your bios, and just as we were starting to talk, we have so much in common, just in terms of our interest, in terms of some of the things that we do, the way we approach things, and I suspect that our methods in the field are probably similar as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your methods when you're on an investigation?
Well, it starts with an interview, really, doesn't it? With whoever the client is that is having issues. And we sit down and we talk to them and we listen. Mm-hmm. We don't tell them, we just listen. And they pour out their heart. And Renata is a master at this because she actually holds qualifications as a counsellor. So she is able to tap into them, and then also as a psychic and a medium, she starts to tap into the person themselves, and she seems to hit the nail on the head very quickly.
Yeah.
So if there's something to all this, and we do the same thing, we do an intake interview and kind of do all that kind of stuff. Where do you go from there? What's your what's your approach, philosophy, balance as you go through an investigation?
Look, what the first thing is to dispel fear, and I think Anne would say that as well. So we need to come in as people who know our stuff, supposedly, allegedly, and can allay fear in what is going on for the people. Now, sometimes they just want to be heard, and literally they tell us their story, and it's see you later. I just wanted to know that I'm not crazy and that everything is okay. But as you guys would know, all of these things are very, very complex, and no two stories are the same. So to sit within a session and go, we think we know what's going on here, can kind of be not give people enough, I guess, that sense that we've given them enough to be able to say, look, what you're going through is unique. Oh, you're just telling the same story as every other person that, tells us a story. So this is what you do. Go grab some sage, go around the house, sage it all out. Everything's fine. See you later. But there are certain characteristics that seem to be repeatable in these cases. And so if we get enough of the story, we would then go in with some equipment.
Well, I generally, while you're doing like an interview almost sort of thing, is I'm listening to what they're saying and then trying to think logically what could be the man-made cause for what is going on. And after I've heard their story and she's still sitting and chatting to them, I'll say, can I just go for a wander? So I'll go for a wander and start to look at the environment that they're in to work out, firstly, is there anything environmentally that could be causing their issues? So she sort of looks at the spiritual side and I look at the environmental side. It's very rare that we actually need to go in on a full investigation with cameras and recorders and things like that, because we can normally sort it out pretty quickly in one visit. Yeah. And it's normally a grieving issue where someone is grieving, or there is a change of the environment or the people within the household, which is called conflict, or the imagination of some younger people that have watched too many horror shows. We've dealt with people who were actually having panic attacks due to something that had happened in their history, which something had triggered them again, and it was nothing to do with the paranormal, but because a friend comes in and tells them, I can feel it, you've got something horrible in the house, they go to this fear place and immediately start to, it adds to their panic. And so we try to find the logical, neurological problems to what is happening in the house before we jump to spiritual, although we have had cases where it is somebody in the house trying to reach somebody who, in one case we had really bad sleep apnea, didn't know it, and we mentioned it to him. The wife said, yeah, you do stop breathing during the night, it's really scary. Went to the doctor. Turned out he had the worst sleep apnea that anyone had ever seen, put him on the ventilator, and all the issues stopped.
Wow.
Right.
And the spirit was actually waking him up. It was like, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And I need to wake you up so that you're aware of how bad your state of health is.
Wow.
So that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was an awesome experience for us. Not for the poor fellow, but for us.
Well, it's awesome for him now because he's got his CPAP machine and he's healthier for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys find that you will go into houses and you're doing repair work. So they have had one or two people in who have said to them, as Anna said, there's 100 demons here, we've got to do this, this and this, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars, whatever, because I've got to keep coming back to fix this. And we kind of go in and go, no. So we can sometimes be doing repair work. Or on the other hand, there will be people who do not like the idea that you have said there is nothing really here that you need to be aware of. Yeah. And then they'll call somebody else in
They'll
who
keep calling
gives them
people until they get what they want to hear.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and we've had both of those.
Right, and that makes it tough. We had there's a case we talk about quite a bit where it was a woman who, she had trauma in her life, really was overdosing on the shows, and had a lot of misinformation. And there was a young man who just briefly, he committed suicide. Prior to his suicide, his parents lived in that house. He had a very complicated life of violence, drug abuse. His girlfriend stabbed him in the face at one point. She committed suicide. So he ends his life. He has some trauma, which is making him confused. But he goes back to the house where he used to go when he needed a timeout from life. He would go sit in his parents' basement. So after dying, he makes his way back there. Well, his parents don't live there anymore. Time has lapsed a couple of years. But the house looks similar, but it's different. And he was confused and he was in great pain. But the woman was like, no, he's a demon masquerading and he's trying to, get inside me and ruin our life. And we had to walk away. And she did. She brought in all kinds of people. The TV shows would say, yeah, we'll come in and film it. We'll record it, but we can't solve it for you. And it was very sad. It's a case we talk about a lot because it really brings home the responsibility that we have.
Yes. And what had happened before that is she had, the day prior to reaching out to me, she had called another psychic, and that psychic told her, oh, it's a demon, you need to move out of your house. So the next day she called me, and I didn't know that initially, and she said, can you check in? And I was remotely checking in with her house, and I was seeing a young man with a gunshot wound to the head. That's what I was seeing remotely, and that's what I was seeing when we got there. And we actually got an EVP around it. So we knew it wasn't a demon, but because that initial psychic had planted that seed, she wasn't going to hear anything else.
Now, it was a rough, we went 3 times or 2 times?
3 times.
But we would go, we would get it sorted. We clearly heard on an EVP, the young man asked for help. Everything. We had debunked some, there's a smell in the basement. Well, you have an open sump pump here. Of course you have a smell in the basement, so on and so forth. And we would be driving back home, and the text would start. He's throwing rocks at me. He's trying to get inside. And then finally was so this is, I think, a good segue to this. There are lots of amateur investigators out there. I mean, in a lot of ways, this is more popular than ever. What's your advice for just starting out people want to get involved who are getting involved? What's the Ann and Renata 101 of this business?
Don't swear. I can feel it coming. Read, study, learn from people who don't have any particular bias in the field, particularly a religious bias. Learn from facilities, like I'm currently doing one with Lloyd Auerbach, and
the Rhine Institute.
Yeah, the Rhine Institute. Learn from people who actually have their degree in psychology and have done the unit of the parapsychology rather than self-proclaimed parapsychologists who have watched a lot of TV shows. Be discerning where you are getting your knowledge from, and don't take on private cases because you want to have an experience with a ghost. That is not what it is about. Private cases are helping the spirits and helping the individuals, and you need either mental health training or you need counselling training to do that. I remember somebody who emailed me all excited to go, I've got my first case. Apparently she's got a demon in the house. I can't wait to go and find the demon. And I've just gone, no.
It's not about you.
And the thing is, the investigators go into the house, they'll say, oh yes, you've got a demon, and then they leave. And that whole family is left in trauma. And we have dealt with so much stuff that have been left behind. Sorry, get off the high horse.
No, it's not a high horse. We have a thing. We have a thing here in America, and it's going to sort of lead to the next thing because I think it's somewhat in Australia too, but we'll find out. But dudes in black t-shirts and some kind of cool hat, some tattoo sleeves, and before they go out, they go on YouTube Live and they're like, we're going to get rid of a demon tonight. Like we're doing this work and we're excited and we're going to bring it to you live. And it's like, Tanya and I have encountered some very, very dark things, and I'm sure you have too. And when you have genuinely encountered those things, I don't think you go unless there's something very wrong with you. You don't go, tonight it's going to be a demon, because that is not the energy of that thing.
No, and what you said earlier is exactly it. It's about helping the living and the deceased. That's it. End of discussion. That's what it's about in terms of, private investigations, going to people's homes. If that's not your motivation, if that's not your intention, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, because doing that mop-up work.
We don't do any lives or any recordings on private investigations. We might sometimes put up a little bit of information about kind of dealing with something or having been somewhere, and really tiptoe around the edges, because people do like to hear about the real stuff. But the real stuff is very, very different to a public tour, for example, which is very different to what people see on TV. And the most important thing is for people who are starting out in this field to understand that what you see on TV is entertainment. It's not a documentary of the reality of this. Right. And please do not go into it if you think you're going to make money out of that. Right. Because there is no money to make out of that. It costs you a lot of money, because you're studying, you're educating yourself, you're buying equipment, you're going to places, you're putting yourself out there. And there are as many people that will dump crap on you for what you do, far more than anyone who will shake your hand and go, congratulations, you're doing a really good job.
Very big turds.
That's a great point.
Big turds dumped on us recently, haven't we?
So it's, the whole idea of saying I'm professional.
Oh, don't go there.
That is, what's professional? What's professional?
Yeah.
That's really, really hard. But I think if you can show that you have had some experience, or that you have experience behind you and knowledge behind you, that's a really, really important thing. And some of the ones that are starting are not going to people who have experience. Right. They're going to people who are also just starting and getting their information from them. And that's just, it's not safe to do that.
Right.
And it's also another reason why we approach this from humour. Because of the normals, as I like to call them, those who are just putting their toes into the water. And you've got these paranormal investigators out there, oh, I'm a demonologist, and I'm this, and I'm that. And they look down on anyone who is just starting out. Like some of those Centre of Excellence courses I'm studying, they're very general courses, and it just gives me a really good background. And there's a bit of a snobbery of some people go, oh, well, they're not real diplomas. Well, so it's not university level, but it is knowledge. There are tests that have to be set and answers that have to be for questions. It's all marked. So we have to be careful not to become paranormal snobs, and to look out for those people to help them get on the right path, so they're not looking at the demons and everything else, and know that we're just normal people who are having a good time and happy to share our knowledge.
Right?
Exactly.
Amen.
Wonderful.
So we don't normally talk, we go out of our way to not talk specifics, but my ears kind of perked up when you were on Three Beards a few weeks ago, because you mentioned Cockatoo Island.
Yeah.
So let me set this up, and I'm just going to leave it to you to say as much or as little as you want about this, okay? So there's a very popular documentary series on Netflix right now. Tanya and I have watched the trilogy and some other stuff. It's a guy named Chad Kalick who's here in the States, and he hooked up with Craig Powell, who's part of the West Sydney Paranormal Research Team. So it's Sir No Face and, all of that stuff for people. You mentioned that you went to Cockatoo Island. Do you have some insider about those folks and the island, and, that the government had said, oh, go in and research, but then don't research? Again, as much as you want to say or not say is fine.
I love Cockatoo Island. Let me just start with that.
Historically, it's amazing.
Amazing, absolutely amazing place. And we've stayed there a couple of times. Yes. We've done a few little investigations. We had a big party for our team a year ago, and we stayed overnight. We would love to be able to do more there, but what has happened, and what has happened probably in America as well and other places, is that if you get a team that goes over and oversteps the line or oversteps the criteria that the site issues to you to say you cannot do this, right? If you do that, end of story. They ruin it for other people. Because once they break rules, then the site tends to go, well, that's it, we're not having anybody else here, and nothing else is going to be done. And we have done follow-ups at many places, and this is what we hear. We hear, no, we are not going to allow you to come and record or do anything else because we've had a bad experience. And I think with Cockatoo Island, whatever happened...
Because we weren't there, so we can't say.
Right.
We do know the Whisper team. We do know Craig and Nikki. We've known many of the people who were involved in filming that, which the Whisper team, they disbanded everyone and basically said, you guys go do your own thing. We're going to do our own thing now. So they dumped all of them, which is a little bit sad. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know that Cockatoo Island was not happy. That's all I know.
Yeah, they weren't happy. Maybe it was because it went so sensational and so Showtime. I don't know.
And I haven't seen it either.
I have.
Have you?
Yes.
And it's all just built on the little tiny clip of a shadow?
Yes, yeah. It's well done. Great work with the teams that put it together and everything.
Tony, hello.
But I guess it's like everything else. You have a small piece of alleged activity, and then you build upon that a whole 3-series documentary. We don't know what goes behind the scenes. That isn't alluded to. You don't know the information that's been gathered. You would, and from our point of view, we would have to talk to the team, and I don't want to kind of put bad juju out about any of them. That's not kind of what I'm about. I guess from our point of view,
we weren't there.
We can't say, but we do know that from after that, Cockatoo Island literally shut everything down and said we don't want any more teams working out there doing anything. It's not the site, and it's not the type of information we want to be putting out there.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about Australia. We have very few haunted sites to work with. So every time a haunted site closes its doors to ghost hunters, it's not only the ones that are well known in the industry here in Australia, but it's those ones that are starting out that are desperate to find places to go and investigate.
With the same brush.
And they have nowhere to go. Where are they going to go? To cemeteries? That's that ends up being the last place for them to go to, and that's not an appropriate place either.
And we watch in horrors. There's a couple of young guys at the moment who are putting their own YouTube series out, and they are trespassing everywhere. They've been into St. John's Orphanage at Goulburn, which had a big fire in it, and so there's like structural damage and broken glass and wooden beams, and it's so dangerous, and they're in there investigating without permission. They've gone to an island, which I don't know whether they had permission or not, but we know because we've tried to approach them that they don't want anyone on there. So we just keep saying to people, please stop doing that, because you are giving all of us a bad name.
Yeah.
There's a show here in the States called Paranormal Caught on Camera, and they do the clips from, it's a 30-minute challenge where you go in on Facebook Live for 30 minutes and their hearts are pumping, but they want something to happen because they have all these people watching, waiting for something to happen. So your psychic intention is that causing things to happen. Are you tempted to make things happen? With a couple of, the stakes are high. So we've been asked a few times, if you ever go into the field and you want to do a live feed and we're with you, that's where they say the money, we'll pay you for that, but that's so against.
Well, with the 30-minute challenge also, it's like you said, they're generally trespassing. I mean, they certainly haven't gotten permission to go into these abandoned places. And also, as you mentioned, they're not safe. So it just for thrill seeking doesn't seem like
But there are also many people that will watch that. I know there's a team in the UK, and they go out every night, and their title is always some sort of
clickbait.
Some sort of clickbait. Real demon caught. Witch hanging here. Watch the demon appear. It's never, Auntie Jane lets us smell her violet perfume or whatever it might be. It's never that. It's some demon without a head. Yeah, come and watch, and they will have thousands of people on watching.
Yeah.
People are voyeurs. They like it.
They like the thrill.
Yeah. They want to see if they can see that thing, that little glimpse of that thing. Yeah. And that's why you get phone calls when you're on a big show and they go 85% of it is demon. Well, that's like if all of the alien beings, the ETs were evil, we'd be done. The story would be over. The human race would be finished. So, but anyway, you've been lovely, and we want to give you the last word. So run down where everybody can see all your great stuff and hear all your great stuff.
Okay, I've got a list.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So you can find us for the podcast, which is True Hauntings. Our community on Facebook, which we would love you all to come and join us, is Anne and Renata Frightfully Good. We have our YouTube, you're right there? Yeah. YouTube channel, which is Anne and Renata. We're on Instagram, Anne and Renata. I think it's one long word there.
Yep.
TikTok.
You do TikTok? Good for you.
Only because we're made to.
Gotcha.
We've got Oz Paratech, which is my store. Newcastle Ghost Tours, which is Renata's page. Is that it? Have I got it all?
And the Australian School of Ghost Hunting.
Yep.
And you're still doing Spirit Talk Australia, right? Because I saw a new post today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, Tony. Love you. Yeah, we're meeting so many amazing people, which is so great. And it's just highlighting as well another side of all of this tremendous stuff that is out there. I was actually speaking to my husband this morning and saying, there's no way we can get bored with life. There's just so many exciting and wonderful things to be involved with, and I'm so happy that I have a partner who are willing to go out there and just have a good time and find out what other trouble we can get into.
And now we just need to find a way that people will pay us to travel and pay us to stay at haunted places and pay us to have fun and be idiots.
Yeah, and speaking of
anyone watching that would like to do that,
there you go. Hey, that's it. So, and in about 5 hours, you guys have a big phone call, huh?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So we're going to light a white candle and keep some good thought, and let us know. This way next week we'll let our audience know. Since you couldn't do it, we were off by several hours. So thank you so much. We've never done this before, but we're just going to outro with you guys on the screen.
Yeah, so this was wonderful.
Yeah, we don't normally do this. So thank you everyone for watching. And what else do we want to say? We want to say join us next week, because you never know what you'll find when you journey into the outer realms. Oh, where were you? Embarrassed? You soft-pedaled it.
I did?
You did. I think because Ann and Renata were watching, you didn't want to look foolish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I soft-pedaled it.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We love
Take care.
you.
Love
we'll
you
talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.